Hi everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, October 15th. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining with us again. Now, wow, a 5.9% Consumer Price Index, or CPI. There's no better way to really describe that other than just wow, because I know that was my reaction Wednesday morning when the news came out of Washington, D.C. Now, of course, the CPI is the Consumer Price Index. It comes out every year. It's what the Social Security cost of living increase is based on. It's also what our COLA here in Massachusetts for your pension is based on. Now, the last time the CPI was anywhere near 5.9% was 40 years ago. Ronald Reagan had just become president of the United States the year before. I was in grade school. It was a long time ago, to say the least, a very long time ago. And we knew this year that the CPI was going to be higher than normal. Most observers or experts believed it was going to be 4.5% to 5%, but no one knew or could have predicted that we were going to come in at nearly 6%. Now, the reason for this is simple, and I guess in thinking back, we really shouldn't have been surprised. All of us, if you've been grocery shopping anytime recently, you know that you're paying more every time you ring up those groceries than you were paying a year ago. You're paying more at the gas pump. We're paying more for just about everything right now. And whether or not the inflationary things that we're seeing right now are temporary or transitory, as the Federal Reserve refers to it, that remains unknown. But all we know is, as of now, we're paying more money for most of the essential goods and services that all of us depend upon than we were paying a year ago. In some cases, significantly more. Now, as your representatives, this is a big concern for us because we know that our members, more than anyone else, are far more vulnerable to the effects of inflation than people who are part of the active workforce. It's simple. Most of our members are living on fixed incomes, even those members who are working part-time jobs or have gone back to full-time employment in retirement. Everybody's feeling the inflationary pressure, but particularly for those of you who are solely reliant on your public pension, on some savings, and if you're lucky enough to be receiving a small Social Security benefit, that too. So in normal times, it's hard enough for our members to keep pace with inflation, because we all know that the cost of living adjustment benefit here in Massachusetts, it's not designed, it has never been designed to pay a COLA on the full pension and truly keep pace year in and year out with inflation. The longer you are retired and the older you get, unfortunately, the further and further you fall behind in terms of the buying power, or the purchasing power, as some call it, of your pension. Now, the good news is that because of the success of our public pension systems, and if you read your September newsletter, which I hope you read every newsletter that we send out, we put a lot of work and time and effort into getting that information to you. But in September, we spent a lot of time talking about just how successful our public retirement systems have been over the past 36 years, but really in particular over the past 10 years. The success has been just phenomenal. And we believe that the time is now for that success to be shared with you, the beneficiaries of the system. Now, as I mentioned last week, we have already gone to press with our November newsletter, The Voice, as we call it. That newsletter will begin arriving in your mailbox by the middle of next week. Now, once again in the newsletter, we spend a lot of time and space talking about the success of our retirement systems, but also talking about the COLA, particularly the COLA at the local level, across the 102 local retirement systems, and the process that needs to be undertaken to improve and increase the COLA base at the local level. And we explain all this in the newsletter. One of the things we're trying to do is get as much factual information to you, also to the retirement board members, as we possibly can, so that together we can take the steps necessary over the coming year across all of the retirement systems to continue to incrementally increase the COLA base. Now, as I've explained before, we cannot expect to simply have these miraculous jumps forward of tens of thousands of dollars. in terms of what the COLA base is. The system, unfortunately, just is not designed to do that. And we get that question quite a bit, particularly from new members or new retirees who wonder why there's a need for a base at all. The short answer is that that's the way the system has been designed from the very beginning. And to suddenly change that right now would result in a huge unfunded liability and would require a lot of new money, millions of dollars at the local level, billions of dollars for state and teacher systems to come into the system, and it's money that the legislature and the state just simply doesn't have. And the taxpayers would not support such a huge increase in costs for the retirement system. So we're left to try to make incremental improvements. And we believe wholeheartedly that we can do that. We think that the facts are on our side. We think that the money is there to continue to make those incremental improvements. At the same time, we have to also pass things like we've been talking about with the senior or enhanced COLA to give added assistance to those members who have been retired for a number of years, 15 or 20 years or longer, who have fallen behind, to help them catch up a little bit more. But for the coming fiscal year 23, which takes place in July of 2022, we believe that there should also be an extra effort afoot to pay a cost of living increase based on the 5.9% consumer price index. Now, as I said at the beginning, and has been widely reported since Wednesday, the 5.9% CPI is an anomaly. This is the first time that this has happened in 40 years. Again, a very, very long time. And we do not anticipate that this being the new normal of suddenly we're going to see this rapidly increasing inflation. God forbid that that happens, but that's not what anyone is predicting or anticipating. Hopefully and most likely, this is a one-time occurrence. However, the damage has been done. Costs have gone up for retirees, and retirees in particular. And because our members are so vulnerable to this, we believe that an extra effort should be made to ensure that local retirement systems, at the very least, have the ability and the legal authority to pay a COLA above 3%. So in the coming weeks, we will be working with legislative officials, retirement board officials, to come up with a viable proposal for a one-time increase of the CPI above 3% for FY23. At the same time, for the state and teacher systems, which are governed by the state legislature and the governor working in unison, there is no statutory change that's needed at the state and teacher system. The annual COLA is determined by the governor and the legislature through the annual state budget. So we are now working with legislative leaders to put together a plan to address the COLA for state and teacher retirees based on the 5.9% CPI for FY23. We don't have all the details. Thankfully, time is on our side. This news just came out this week. The budget process for FY23 is just now at the very beginning stages at both the state and the local levels of government. None of this would take place until July 1st of next year at the earliest. So again, time is on our side, but we have to get working on this now. It's something we have to be talking about now. And in fact, next week on Tuesday, which is also my daughter's birthday, happy birthday, Abby, definitely feeling old. But on Tuesday, the Joint Committee on Public Service will be holding a public hearing on COLA legislation, and we have 3 different bills that are being heard on Tuesday. And we'll be working closely with State Representative, the State Representative Gordon from the town of Bedford, he's the House Chairman, and State Senator Brady from Brockton is the Senate Chair. Ken Gordon and Mike Brady are the 2 chairmen. We'll be working with them to advance our bills forward, but also working with them to advance the legislation necessary at the local level for local retirement systems to have the ability to pay beyond 3%. So first of all, keep an eye out next week for your newsletter. Again, it's chock full of information for you, for our local retirement boards, and anyone else who's interested in working with us on these issues to give you everything you need locally to advocate and pass a COLA base increase for the coming year. And we'll be doing the same thing at the state level for state and teacher retirees. Before I sign off today, however, I just want to say a quick thank you to those of you who over the past week have taken the time to either call me, email me, reach out to other members of our staff in regard to last week's message, which was the Social Security windfall elimination provision. If you've read that message, and if you haven't seen it yet, go back. It's on our website. It's in your email. But last week I detailed the ongoing situation with the WEP, why things are continuing to be delayed, and what steps we are trying to take to move this forward. And I know how difficult and frustrating the situation is. I know that our members, many of you, are losing hundreds of dollars a month because of the WEP. You're angry and frustrated and really just fed up with the whole situation. And if you watched last week's video, I think you can see just from my reaction of just how personally I take this as well. So those of you who took the time to reach out, I really appreciate it. I appreciate your support and your well wishes and your advice. Our whole team here does. You know, we have a fantastic team here at Mass Retirees of people who have been here working for you in some cases for decades now, and they do so because they love what they do, they love serving our membership, and they take all of these issues very, very personally. So when you do reach out, you know, and take your time to say thank you to us, it means a lot. So thank you for thanking us. But with that, I'm going to sign off for today. Enjoy this beautiful fall weather if you're up here in New England. It really doesn't get any better than this. But with that, we'll be back to you again next week with a preview and a little bit further insight into what we're covering in the November newsletter. But thank you so much.